Hey guys, we just got a Deadlock patch and I wasn't expecting a patch. I was actually in the middle of a coaching session, but we just got one and it's got some pretty significant changes. Now it's just a balance patch, but the little Halloween masks are back, right? So as we go explore the map, don't worry about this, I'm cheating, but you can see they've got the little pumpkin heads back in the jungle and that's awesome. But let's talk about, I guess, the more important thing, which is the balance changes. I'm not going to go over every line because a lot of these are small balance changes, but there's a few that really change the way some heroes are going to be played or impact the general gameplay loop very significantly. The first one being the jump pad change. So now, apparently, when you shoot someone, as I'm recording this, I'm testing it for the first time, by the way, because I literally, the patch came out 5 minutes ago. But apparently when you shoot someone, after they've taken a jump pad, it stuns them, right? So let's see how that works exactly. So I'm just going to maneuver that guy. That didn't work. Okay, so after doing some testing with Lona, here's my conclusions on the jump pad mechanic. So the first thing is you only stun someone right now if you shoot them as they are taking the jump pad, okay? You do not get the stun in any other circumstance. So even if you shoot them right after they've hit the air or whatever, I've not been able to make it work. Now, my suspicion is that it's currently bugged and that the intention is for it to stun someone as long as you shot them within 0.6 seconds, as is said in the patch notes. Now, if it was working as intended, this would be a massive change, but as it stands currently in its bugged form, which I'm assuming it's bugged, by the way, I don't know for sure, but it feels like it's bugged. It's really not a huge deal. Now, what I think this is supposed to combat is it's essentially meant to be a counter to the people that are just taking the jump pad, like myself. I'm a big abuser of this, and then just strafing away and escaping into basically like Narnia, right? Kind of like I showed in my movement video where you can go super far with the jump pad if you just like, you know, do some like strafes and, you know, do some crazy escapes. So it's just meant to nerf the overall like mobility aspect of the jump pad with the stun potential, but only if you're getting hit. I think this is potentially a good change. It's hard to say right now, but I'm more than happy to help them test it, and we'll see kind of like what happens in a couple days. But right now I will let them know that it's probably bugged because it doesn't seem to be, right in its current form, doesn't seem to be doing much. Now let's talk items for a little bit. In the weapon category, we've got Mystic Shot that got nerfed, so the base damage got nerfed, but the scaling got increased, so this shouldn't really change too much. I personally don't like this nerf. I would have preferred if they just removed, if they just added damage fall off to Mystic Shot. I think it would have made more sense, but it seems that they are continuously nerfing every source of flat damage in the early game, so Mystic Shot was next, as it was the currently abused one. Warpstone Bullet Resist was nerfed a little bit in the Vitality category. And we've also got the barriers. So Spirit Shielding, Weapon Shielding, and Reactive were all nerfed a little bit. Not much. It's just like the base barrier for these was nerfed, and the cooldown for Reactive was nerfed. But Reactive kind of looks like an even better option now comparatively, which it already kind of was. So I think we'll see how this plays out, but these are obviously good changes overall. Now, we actually got a rare Fortitude buff. This item has not been touched in quite some time, but we got a buff from it where it takes 13 seconds instead of 14 seconds to get the regen. So I guess it's a little quality of life. The item was already very strong. I don't think it needed a buff, but I guess they felt they wanted to see it bought a little bit more. And unfortunately, Trophy Collector, guys, it's been buffed. It's been buffed. It now gives even more souls per minute. It went from, I believe it was 25 to 30, right? So just to give you guys a difference, at max stacks, that is 5 times 16. That is 80 more souls per minute at max stack. So before it was a total of 400 souls per minute, and now it is a total of 480 souls per minute. So when you get to max stacks, this item's kind of crazy. 480 extra souls per minute is a lot of souls. The problem with the item is still there, and you're not going to see a lot of it at high levels of play, I think, but this item might legitimately start being broken at lower levels. If your games on average last 35 minutes, you might actually want to start buying this item most games. Now, you know, don't say you took it from me though, because your teammates are going to be mad. Now, a lot of the other changes are actually mostly, like, I would say not inconsequential, but just very small balance changes. The biggest one to me is Spirit Snatch. Spirit Snatch, as far as items go, Spirit Snatch got nerfed pretty significantly. So now the duration of it is only 10 seconds, whereas before it was 14 seconds. And the bonus damage got nerfed by 25 as well. This item was definitely way overperforming, so I think it's good changes, and it'll probably be in a much more balanced position. There's also the ethereal shift change, which, you know, everybody expected, which it now is a 45-second base cooldown. Before it was 20. So just to give you guys an idea, if you buy transcendent cooldown, now ethereal shift is a 32-second cooldown, which is still 12 seconds higher than the base cooldown that it had before. So this item should be in a much better space. And on top of that, you can no longer cube or rescue beam item heroes that are ethereal shifted. The rest of the item changes are very small balance changes, increases or decreases that I don't think are worth mentioning at this time, but the full patch notes will be linked in the description as always. Now, talking about hero changes, the first one that got touched was Calico. So Calico base cooldown on Gloom Bombs was nerfed by 2 seconds, which is actually quite significant. It means you won't be able to just perma-spam Gloom Bombs in lane anymore. So that should, you know, bring her lane a little bit more in kind of touch with other heroes. And then on top of that, the base damage was nerfed by 10, and the scaling was nerfed from 0.74 to 0.64, which is what it is now, although you can only see 0.6, which is kind of weird why it doesn't show you the full number in game. But now if you hit multiple bombs, enemies take 65% damage, so rather than 50%. So they're trying to incentivize you hitting more bombs, right? So if you hit all your bombs overall, it's probably about the same as it was before, but they're trying to make it so you don't get as much free damage for just hitting one bomb, and you actually have to hit multiple. The other big change is that before you could use all your stamina and then use Ava and then you'd have stamina, but now it doesn't replenish your stamina anymore. So you can't do that, you know, little stamina cheese that you could do with Ava. Now, Gunman has been taken out. So now there's two things about Gunman is that not only does he do less damage on headshots, he does 25% less damage on headshot, but his bullet growth per boon has also been nerfed. Which means that in general, he should be way less oppressive with his gun. Now, I didn't think gun Doorman was like super OP, but it was definitely strong. And it was also kind of definitely against the spirit of the character. I think a lot of people just didn't like it was in the game. So it's a good thing it got nerfed, in my opinion. And in order to try to compensate, they gave him increased scaling on the explosion damage of the call bell, which is now 1.7. I believe it was 1.5, so I got 0.2 extra. So a little bit of a compensation buff. I can't speak. And that's pretty much it for Doorman. So Drifter got some tiny little buffs. It seems they really want to be very careful about buffing Drifter, even though in my opinion this hero is not that good, and they chose to buff mostly his gun. So they actually nerfed the amount of weapon damage you get per stack to kind of nerf his snowball potential, funnily enough. But they gave him 2 buffs in compensation, which they gave him base bullet damage increase from 20.9 to 21.3, which is roughly about like a 2.5 to 3% increase in base damage, which is not much. And then on top of that, they gave him bullet growth from 0.52 to 0.56, which, so overall, I think at max level, he'll probably have seen a total of like 7 or 8% DPS increase from his gun, which is pretty good. It's not bad at all. It's definitely significant, but we'll see if it's enough to kind of make Drifter a little bit more relevant in the meta. Okay, so Infernus got hit pretty hard. His bullet growth went from 0.12 to 0.08. And then on top of that, his Flame Dash got hit. Now his second point of Flame Dash is only plus 30 DPS rather than plus 35. And his Afterburn tier 1 is minus 20% spirit damage instead of minus 25. And his tier 3 upgrade is plus 26 instead of plus 28 DPS. So basically, a lot of things got nerfed. He should be much more in line. I don't know if this kills the hero, but this will definitely make him a lot worse. But overall, he should still be fine, but we'll see. Now, everyone's least favorite hero, Kelvin, aka, you know, he's got the Frankenstein mask on, but he was hit pretty hard, which is good. His base regen was halved, so now he only has 1 base regen, which I believe is the only hero in the game that has 1 base regen, but I would need to double check that, but I think so. And then on top of that, what they did is that they increased his headshot reduction from minus 20 to minus 25, and they increased his dome timer by 20 seconds. Now, when I said he got hit pretty hard, I actually meant he didn't really get hit that hard, and it's probably not going to matter that much. But these are good changes, but realistically, Kelvin is like so strong compared to a lot of other heroes that I don't think it's enough to bring him in line, and I think they should have been a little bit harsher with the nerfs. But considering Valve, generally they like to nerf little by little rather than being super harsh with one nerf. So, you know, there might be more Kelvin nerfs coming in the future. McGinnis has 1 line in the entire patch, but that 1 line is very impactful, and it is that Medicinal Spectre now has a 1 second linger time. It doesn't say anywhere on the ability, right? But that means that, let's say I go half health, I put the Spectre down, I step out, you see how it's still healing me? It lingers for a second. So here I can step in and out, and it's gonna keep healing me as long as I keep, you know, stepping in it. It basically has that 1 second linger time. Well, this seems kind of bugged. Why is it still healing me? Okay, well that seemed like a bug, but anyway. we're not going to worry about that. There might be a new bug in the game. We'll try to figure that out later. But that's a huge deal. Like having that additional linger will just make the heal just feel a lot better to use. And Wander, you know, my teammate for the tournament, was very, very like vocal about this change, and I think that he'll be very happy. Now Paradox basically got some mostly, I don't want to say cosmetic nerfs, but basically she got some gun damage nerf to her gun damage growth. I don't think it's going to be enough to matter. It went from 6.48 to 6.15, which is not nothing, but it's probably about like 4% or something. And then on top of that, well, actually I guess it's a little more than 4%, but either way. And then her paradoxical swap cooldown went from 70 to 75 seconds, which, you know, 5-second increase, it does matter, yes, but it's not much. But if we go back to all the nerf logs of Paradox, I mean, Paradox like base swap cooldown used to be 50 seconds, and it used to be like, you know, you used to get like basically a 20-second swap at one point. So this hero's swap has just been nerfed over and over and over again, and we're still nerfing it. And maybe one day the hero will be balanced, but that day might not be today, as this hero's probably still going to dominate. For 7, they decided to buff the part of his kit that is probably the least useful right now, which is Lightning Ball. So they increased the scaling on Lightning Ball from 0.43 to 0.55. So that's a pretty significant increase in scaling. I would say that's roughly a 20% increase in scaling, for anybody wondering. So now Lightning Ball build could be better. We'll have to see. I'm not convinced, but yeah. Shiv only got one change, and it's that they nerfed my favorite part about Shiv, which is the alt fire kind of knockback. As you can see, you can still do the alt fire movement. It's just a little bit worse. It's worse by 10%. So it shouldn't matter too much. It was definitely probably OP how much he can move, but man, it was fun. Man, it was fun. Unfortunately, now it's been nerfed. So, you know, if it's still really good, but you can't go quite as far, you know, as especially with walls. So this looks a lot more balanced. So we'll see how it feels. Okay, so Victor got some nerfs. He didn't get too many nerfs because basically, like, the main thing is with Victor was like he was an E-shift abuser, so it's important not to nerf him too much, but he did get some pretty significant nerf. The max DPS on Aura of Suffering went from 80 to 70, and the tier 2 upgrade got nerfed by a little bit as well. The max DPS got reduced by 10 and the min DPS by 2. You know, so pretty significant nerf, like overall 20% nerf roughly. To his tier 2 upgrade, and about like a 10 to 12% nerf to the base ability. On top of that, we've got Pain Battery tier 1 and tier 2 that were swapped. So now if you want the plus 40 damage, you have to put 2 points in Pain Battery, which thank God, because Victor wave 1 with 1 point in Pain Battery was dealing 200 damage to me. So I don't think anybody was having fun against that. So very, very good change on that front. Vyper basically just got some spirit scaling upgrade on her dagger to make her spirit Vyper a little bit more viable. To be honest, Vyper's laning stage is already kind of insane, and so I think Vyper might be like a lane dominator now, especially with this increase. But we'll see if she can kind of stay relevant in the mid game. That's kind of like where she struggles right now. She's really, really strong in lane, but she actually struggles in the mid to late game because she feels like very squishy and easy to deal with. So if you can manage to make it work, like, it could be viable. I think we might see some Vyper in the tournament this weekend, but I'm not sure. And last but not least, we got a Warden buff. So Warden base bullet damage went from 15 to 16.2, which is about an 8% buff, I believe. I'm not doing the math on these, by the way. I'm just kind of feeling it out, but it's around there. And he got a binding word radius increase. So base binding word is 20 meters instead of 19 meters, should make it a little easier to hit in the laning stage. But essentially it's just a little compensation buff to make Warden's gun just feel a little bit better to use, because it's true that in comparison, for example, a Kelvin gun, it felt really, really weak, and it still kind of is, but now their DPS is a lot closer. You look at Kelvin's base DPS is 68, my base DPS is 62, so the difference isn't as, you know, dramatic. All right, anyways, that's it for the update, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is gonna be, like, you know, once again, not a very edited video, but just wanted to get it out there and talk about this update.